Bam! Welcome back to another edition of the Blue Review. Friday. We made it to the end of the week. Holiday weekend ahead of us. Big sigh of relief. Yes, Greg. How are we feeling? Marcus, how's everything going over there at the Grant household?
Things are good. Things are
How's your
good.
son?
We had a little bit of a sick kid situation, but a little bit of medicine, some antibiotics, and by mid afternoon he was jumping off the couch again. So all's well here.
Kids are built different.
How old is he?
5.
5. So he's definitely diving off of everything he possibly can.
100%. Yes. Jumping off of everything, running into things, and then it's like, I bumped my head. And I'm like, well, yeah, no kidding.
You swan dived into the floor
Like,
from the
yeah,
top
man.
of the cabinet.
That's how that works. So,
Wait, are we not supposed to still do that? Oh, shit. All right, Greg, how are things going over there in the Mao, land of the Mao?
Land of the Mao is good. Just in today. It's Friday. I'm excited about that. Only have a 2-hour show with Ireland and Momo, and then I get to go home. So it's pretty nice on this end.
That'll be good. Yeah, go
You
home, watch some Dodgers
good Friday.
yeah.
Good.
How are you?
Good Friday. Yeah, thank you. I'm used to asking you guys, but I appreciate you asking back. Yeah, it's a good Friday. I'm heading to Vegas this weekend, actually.
Oh, look at you.
Nice.
Yeah, I figured, young, 26, why not start living?
What's your game? Are you a craps guy? Are you a blackjack, a poker? What's your game?
I'm more of a blackjack guy, but I don't gamble all that often. I will drop probably a good amount on some sports bets though, and
There you go.
can't help it. It's the world we live in. I will do. I think this is going to be fun though. I'm doing that. Got to get the name of it. There's this new. It's like a golf thing that looks really fun. It is called. I have it right here. The Top Stroke.
I was like, Top Golf? Like, that's not new.
Yeah,
but okay.
that's not new. That's been around a long time.
Not Top Golf.
There's one in El Segundo now. Like, you can just...
It's really easy. You don't actually have to go to Vegas for it.
I know, right? No, I think Top Stroke is this new mini golf thing that popped off, and it might have been involved with Tiger. But I don't know. It looks really cool. I think he owns it. Yeah, he's part ownership in the business of it's owned by Woods and TaylorMade Golf. Anyways, it'll be a
Good
fun
stuff.
weekend.
Cool.
Yeah. So today, I'm hoping that we can field some questions from the chat as you all trickle in. Feel free to ask anything Dodgers related or not, I guess, for Greg and Marcus and myself, and we will get to that. And before we do, though, I just want to remind everyone that here at the Blue Review, we're presented by Los Angeles International Airport, and of course, LAX is changing the travel experience, reducing traffic, saving guest time, and all that great stuff. So if you want to find out more, you can find it out at flylax.com/transforming LAX. So guys, why don't we just get right into it? A whole bunch of questions to get to, a whole bunch of just topics to kind of cover, overarching. Obviously, the Dodgers didn't play yesterday, so there's not much of a game to react to. Marcus, we can ask you a little bit of the last series since you weren't here yesterday. But to start off, I think I want to go with maybe the most pressing topic. And Greg, the bottom half of the lineup, more so the bottom three. And, those 4 or 5 guys who are kind of cycling through there. It's been terrible all season. Probably top 3 in the league. I think I could get the numbers on that for you guys. But just starting there, what are your thoughts so far on this season and that bottom third of the lineup? And, do you see any changes happening soon?
Changes happening soon. I don't know about you, Marcus, but I think it's pretty much set on this. The only thing that we're going to see changes is they did bring up Miguel Vargas, and Vargas is going to, maybe he'll probably get a little bit more runway than somebody else. You might see other guys. It might be time to start seeing guys like Andy Pages start to not see, right-handed pitchers. And that's a problem for him. It could be anything, but you probably see a little bit more Vargas, but that's the only change that I can really see in there because they don't have anybody that's going to bring up right now. So it's just that I could possibly see. And also he only has, I think, 1 or 2 hits on the season, but it's in a very, very, very small sample size.
I think the biggest thing with the bottom of the lineup is that they just have to start hitting at some point. I know it sounds simplistic, but at this point they've mixed and matched. They've tried different guys. They're rotating through. You mentioned there's like 4 or 5 guys we see cycling through those bottom 3 spots in the order. Sure, they bring up Miguel Vargas. They can try and maybe find somebody else down below, but at some point those guys just have to start producing. Like there's no other magic formula to any of this. You know, I want to believe that Pages is going to start to, you know, adjust a little bit. You know, you talked about it the other day, Greg, that pitching has adjusted to him. At some point, he's got to adjust back. I mean, I would like to hope that if you're going to be a major leaguer, you know, a fastball down the middle is a hittable pitch. It is, you know, sort of disconcerting how much he's swinging and missing it on pitches like that. So I don't think there's any real big strategy other than the guys in those spots just have to start coming through when they have opportunities.
Yeah, that Pajas part of it is just, I mean, it's middle. I mean, we were in the group chat just talking about it 2 nights ago. It was middle, swing and miss, middle, swing and miss, and it's on fastballs, and they're not like particularly fast. It's not like it's a 102-mile-an-hour fastball. These are like 94 to 96, right down the middle, and maybe there's a little bit of movement, but still, he's got so much of an uppercut swing that he's going right through it, and his timing is off. All of it is completely off. It probably is a mechanical thing, and unfortunately, if he doesn't figure it out up with the big club soonish, he's probably going to have to go back down to AAA, figure out his timing, figure out his mechanics, and then be brought back up.
Similar to what's going on with Outman currently. But the question to you guys, is this maybe something that we can see that area be addressed at the trade deadline? Because, you know, so far we have, like you mentioned, all those names there. And of course, there's always that prayer that maybe Lux figures things out because he is getting close to that 150 at bat mark where the Dodgers said, this is where we're going to really assess him, see where he's at once he gets that 150. But is this maybe an area we're going to see go after another right-handed hitter if guys like, you know, Rojas and the Barneses of the world, just the random names that if they're not producing, are we going to see them start to make some moves at the deadline?
I mean, I think so. I think everything is sort of on the table here. You know, I think the priority right now is probably going out and trying to find some extra arms, some bullpen arms or something like that. But I think everything is a possibility. And, you know, you mentioned Gavin Lux. Of that group, he's probably the guy I'm worried about the least at this point. He's starting to put the ball in play. He's starting to get on base consistently. It looks like he's starting to get his timing back. I mean, even in those last couple of games when the Dodgers offense wasn't doing much, Lux was hitting. Lux was getting on base. So of that group, he's the one that I, at the moment, have the least concerns about. I know it's weird to say about a guy that's hitting 212.
Right?
You know, I mean, it's weird to say about a guy who's hitting 212 right now, but that's kind of how I feel about Lux versus, you know, watching Pages really struggle lately, seeing Teoscar Hernandez really start to kind of slump and not knowing what you're going to get on a nightly basis out of, you know, Rojas, Vargas, you know, those times that Chris Taylor comes to the plate. Lux weirdly is sort of the anchor in the bottom part of the lineup right now.
So weird. Never thought you'd say that, Marcus. But at the same time, like to his credit, to Gavin Lux's credit, when I went to the game on Tuesday with the Mason Ireland show with Mason and Laura and Brian, he was 194 and now he's 212. So he's moved himself up to 212 from that time. So that means he's getting hits and he's getting on base. So he is that anchor that you're kind of talking about. It's very strange to say, but yeah, I mean, I just don't see. Could those guys be moved? Yeah, sure. I mean, I think everybody not named Shohei, Mookie, Freddie, Muncy Smith is on the table to be moved. Even Teoscar would, which I don't think he does get moved, but with the way his contract works and he's only on a 1-year deal. If you needed to move Teoscar for something, he would be another name that is definitely able to move. Again, I don't think Teoscar will be moved, just that he's not one of those big four that will not be. So yes, anybody down there, option to be moved. Gavin Lux, option to be moved. They need to figure out who that is at the trade deadline. I'm sure they're already looking at people. There's people like Bo Bichette, which I still don't really believe that's going to be a move that they make, but those are moves that are out there. If they think it's going to make them better, they're going to go out and get them.
Yeah, I also find that one name specifically hard, especially on Toronto's end, because I think you mentioned in a few episodes ago, Toronto's probably going to be making their way back in towards that wild card hunt. Yeah, and they're going to be really deliberate about how they blow that team up. So outside of any of the obvious names, yeah, I'm sure the Dodgers are looking at people around the league, the Luis Rengifos of the league, like those kind of guys who are just solid hitters towards the bottom end of the lineup. But you guys answered the Lux question. There was some questions about Lux and his honest assessment of his play so far this season. And you guys hit the marks. And he's also been plus on defense. So, like you said, Marcus, he is one of our least concerns at the moment, which we really didn't predict coming into this season.
I mean, no, right? Because by end of March, start of April, he was maybe one of the biggest question marks. We're not sure what to do. Like, how much time is he going to get? How much of a leash are they going to give him? And now it's like, all right, well, he seems to have settled in. He's getting at bats. He's getting comfortable. You mentioned the defense. He's obviously way more comfortable at second base than he ever was at shortstop. So that part is fine. I'll say this: are we worried about Mookie's defense at short? I know the other night he had another throwing error. They sort of worked around it, at least in that inning. I know he has said that right now I suck at shortstop, and I know he's working to get better at it. But are we at a point where it's something we should be worried about?
I don't think it's worry yet. I think there is a time to be worried. The errors have gone down significantly. The beginning of the year, he had like 4 in his first 7 games or whatever. I don't know the exact numbers, and now it's at 7. So yes, they're a lot. But as we talked about the last time, I think it was with Jeff Parker, right? Where we were talking about the fact that his defense, while there are errors, they're not affecting the game. So the guy that gets onto first does not come around to score because the other parts of the defense have been good. So it hasn't been an issue. And I think you had numbers as well, Parker, on his defensive efficiency. And it's not as bad. It's just the 7 errors look terrible. As long as those guys don't come around to score and he's making most of the plays, I think the rest of it will kind of figure itself out. He is still at a brand new position for him. He was second base. So I'm not worried about it just yet. But if this continues and he's continuing bobbling balls and not getting balls to first base, that's going to be an issue. But as of right now, I'm not worried yet. We can give him a little bit more leeway.
Yeah, we had talked. Yeah, Greg. Yeah, we had talked with Jeff. And I think at that time on Tuesday, Mookie was about a 962 over their average on the defensive end. So he's doing fine, and in the Dodgers' eyes, he's doing good. They feel that he's already more than just playable. They feel that he's serviceable and that he is good in their eyes. And Mookie just keeps his own, whatever you want to call it, to himself. His own guideline to himself is just ridiculous. Like he is. Yeah. That's why he's crazy. That's why he's great. But the Dodgers, I guess you can say, have a history of really just we prefer that position, shortstop specifically, to be more of a batter focused position. You look at the Trey Turner of the league, a serviceable defender, but of course the bat is what they wanted out of him. Even Seager, even though he could be sometimes an elite defender, mainly it was the bat that they wanted. So I guess it kind of just continuing the trend of, hey, it's not really making us lose games, the defense so far, and his offense is definitely making us win games. So I'd say he has a lot of leeway there at short, and I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, the part of it with Trey Turner, though, he's all about just, the sliding ability. That's the real thing that he brings to the table.
Slide, cool.
Those beautiful, beautiful slides of his. And also, can I talk about the chat for just a second?
Please.
On YouTube. So a couple of things. There's a couple of things there. Lance the Legend, you came in probably just a little bit too late, but Parker asked me about trading at the trade deadline and asked Marcus and I about the trade deadline. So that's why we were talking about trades. So no one is talking about trading anybody. The question was, would we move any of those people down the line? And the answer is obviously yes. The other part of it, I own a lot of Dodger stuff. I'm tired. I'm tired of this narrative. I have a lot of stuff from Bleed Los. They do a really, really good stuff, and I wear it all the time to Dodgers games. This is a very comfortable hat. I like wearing it. We need to stop talking about our clothes. We talk so much about our clothes in the chat. It's like, relax, dead meow.
I have that same hat, Greg.
Let it go. It's just clothing.
Oh man, well, that's great because I almost pulled out like a throwback Expos cap or something. So I'm glad I didn't do that then.
Yeah,
today.
God, if you did, you would have been destroyed.
That would have been a disaster. So I'm glad I didn't do that today. All right,
back to Dodger talk. So can we put in some questions in the chat about the Dodgers and not about our clothing? Right. Thanks.
So here, Alexander Guzman in the chat, Greg says, and we were going to get to this, so I'm glad he brought it up. Dodgers got to fix the bullpen issues. Marcus, I'll start with you. I mean, what to you is your biggest hole in the bullpen? And, just where do you feel that, obviously injuries aside, where do you think they need to improve the most on?
I mean, I think it's kind of that middle relief. I think the issue for this team has always sort of, I think, been getting to the ninth inning guy. And this goes back even when Kenley Jansen was still sort of at his peak. It was like, how do you get to the ninth inning, get the ball to that guy that's going to close you out? And I think that's sort of it. Although I will say this, I think in the last few days, I think it's been a situation of, one, that team had played 13 games in a row, and every night you were having to run some bullpen arms out there. So that's why you see the Eliezer Hernandezes. That's why you see Anthony Banda. These are names that are not going to stick with this club. They're either going to be sent back down, they're going to be let go and moved on for something else. So they're not really going to be there. But I think for the most part, the guys that they are relying on generally have done well. We've come over to the dark side with Alex Vesia, right? Like we're cool with him now. Michael Grove, I know he had a rough outing a couple nights ago, but generally speaking, Michael Grove has been very good. Ryan Yarbrough has been very good. So I think the guys that they're going to be relying on for much of the season are fine. And then to your point, though, Parker, getting healthy is maybe the biggest thing here, right? I mean, when they get Phillips back, we'll see when Gratterall's coming back, although it seems like that is more and more delayed every day. So I don't know about that. But I think, getting Joe Kelly back, getting some of these guys that they're going to have to rely on back healthy again, I think that solves a lot of the issues that people are worried about.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. And it's funny, you said a lot of those guys are not going to be there, like the Bondas and all those kind of guys. It's funny. The rest of the league is starting to figure out the Dodgers' plan too. Eduardo Salazar was just put on waivers and was picked up by Seattle. Nabil Krismat was put in waivers and was picked up by, I forgot. I think it was the Astros. I don't remember exactly who it was that picked him up. But these guys that they were dropping down into waivers, then putting them into the minors and bringing them up and doing that whole fun thing that they were doing. The rest of the league is like, no. You're not doing this anymore. we're taking the dudes that you're putting down. You're not going to just let them circulate through your system. So yeah, they're starting to figure it out. And because those guys are not necessary, because they're just there for an inning or two and then to be dropped back down. The rest of them, the fact that Blake Trinan is back is really exciting for me. I think that's a huge part of it. When Joe Kelly comes back, like you mentioned, that's going to be good. Daniel Hudson has started to get a little bit better. We just need Evan Phillips back, because that's your closer. That's who you're going to rely on at the end of the games. And Vesia has been good, really good. So, there's a bunch of guys that they have that are the ones they rely on have been good. The other ones have kind of been all over the place. The only one I would kind of worry about, maybe just to start worrying about, I'm not there yet, Marcus, I don't know about you, Michael Grove gave that 3-run home run to Jock Peterson, but I'm hoping that was just a one-time thing, and Jock just hits home runs when he sees a righty.
I looked at that as, one, maybe it was just an off night for Grove, but also Jock has been hitting the ball extremely well. And let's face it, he's comfortable hitting at Dodger Stadium. He did it for a long time. Yeah. So for the moment, I'm just checking that as sort of a one-off speed bump.
Yeah. And to your guys' points, the team needs arms, and that's just what they've been doing so far. But a little update, I think, on Phillips's end. We should be seeing him in about a week to 10 days, because I know he is starting his rehab down here with the Quakes. So getting a little single A rehab action. We should be seeing him soon, which is really good. But yeah, on the lines of just the bullpen arms and everything in general, talking back to the trade discussion we had earlier, Marcus, when we were mentioning, one of the bigger needs is bullpen arms. I had a quote from Friedman, and I was wondering if this will play a factor into things this year, or if maybe you guys feel he's kind of changing his philosophy. So he said in 2022, I hate trading for relievers at the deadline. It's my least favorite thing to do. The acquisition cost, totally out of whack. So I usually like to avoid those as much as possible. One, do you guys agree? And two, are there still ways that they can do that? And is he maybe just talking about the top relievers, like the huge prospects, like a Mason Miller over at the A's?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I understand the point, right? Especially because with relievers, you have it and then you don't. And generally it comes and goes very, very quickly with a lot of guys coming out of the bullpen. So I understand that, right? Like, you are giving up assets for a guy that, maybe has a very short shelf life. But I think at some point, with the way this team has operated, especially in the postseason, you almost have to. It's a thing where you have to sort of eat some of those costs just because the way they want to run this thing, right? I mean, they are very structured in how they run their pitching staff. And, I know last year was sort of an anomaly because last year they were literally counting outs from the first inning on, which is a scary place to be, but they are still very bullpen heavy. I mean, Dave Roberts can fill out a change of address form for the pitching mound because he pretty much lives there in the postseason. So at that point, you do have to start looking at bringing in relievers. And Greg, we've talked about this pretty much from the jump, that a lot of these guys coming out of the bullpen that we see now, will Daniel Hudson still be here in September? Will a lot of these guys still be here? If they aren't, you've got to replace them some kind of way. And chances are it's going to have to be through the trade market. So maybe if he's starting to change his tune on that, it's sort of realizing where this team has fallen apart in past Octobers and understanding that you've got to do something different if you want a different result.
Yeah, no, I think I'm in pretty much agreement with you when it comes to his quote. He's right. It is expensive to get relievers at the deadline because they're at a premium. That's when you need to give away prospects or a good player that you don't want to give away. There's a lot of, but a good reliever that you pick up at the deadline can make a massive difference to your run in the postseason. It happens all the time. The reliever Will Smith was a very big pickup that moved throughout the playoffs. There's been guys throughout, like Aroldis Chapman helped the Cubs win a World Series because he got traded to the Cubs. When you pick up a good reliever along those lines, it makes a difference if it's the right kind of guy. So I think he will be okay to do it. It sucks to see that. I mean, remember they brought Adam Kolarek in and then he helped. He was great in the playoffs getting out lefties. So that made a big difference before they changed it to the 3-batter rule. He can come in for one lefty and get out. So those are things that make differences for the postseason. So if he has to make a move, I think he'll do it. It just has to be worth, like, the juice is worth the squeeze. If that's there, I think he'll do it. But yeah, bullpens are just so weird and tricky and volatile that it's just right now you don't know. A reliever that's good right now on a team, you're like, that's the guy to go after on the Royals or whoever it happens to be. Mason Miller I think he'll always be good, but just pick up some random reliever on the Royals that you're like, wow, he's pitching great. That doesn't mean he's pitching great when it comes to September, August, October, those kind of times. So it's really going to have to make a difference. It has to be the right people.
I like that. Okay, so I'll kind of end here with a question on Buehler. There's been a lot of, honestly, the conversations around him have kind of died down. I think now that we're just seeing him get back into form, and really, what more conversation is there other than let's just wait and see? But I want to ask you real quick, Greg, are there realistic expectations for him this season, and just from you? And do you see him really putting up good stats this year, or is this more of a feel out year?
I think we still need to see what he has because he was bad the first couple. He was good in the last one. As long as we talked about it after his last start. If he brings his velocity down where it is, we're around the 94 to 96, and he's becoming the pitcher that he has to be and not just the thrower. I know it's you say it a lot, but that's kind of what it is. As long as he does that and he listens to the people that are smart around him and are helping him to pitch the right way, I think he can be great again. He's never going to be that 99 mile an hour, just blow it past you guy anymore. So he has to, if he wants to get better and be the guy that he was in his last start, he needs to just realize who he is and just locate his pitches, find the plate, hit around the edges. Otherwise, if he's going to try and blow by you, he's going to get hit, and he's going to get hit hard.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it goes back to what I said before. He's got to start listening to people. He's got to keep listening to people, and a little bit of his ego, man. There's something really prideful about going out there and touching triple digits. But like you said, Greg, he's not that guy anymore. So he's got to kind of swallow that pride and realize that, pitch the contact and just try to get outs that way.
Yeah.
You're not a 15 strikeout
exactly.
guy.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
Anymore. Nope.
It's all about coming 29 and shifting your play style. That's a lot of players have to deal with that. But guys, this was a great little mailbag session. I'm glad we could get through certain questions. We'll try to do this more often on Fridays when there's an off day on Thursday, so that we can answer your questions, answer the chat's questions, and questions from social media. So I appreciate both of you being here. Marcus, thank you. Greg, thank you. I've been Parker Bell for the Blue Review. Thank you, as always, to the LAX. And a happy Memorial Day weekend to everyone. Enjoy, if you have it, the 3 days off. And if you don't, still enjoy the weekend with the fam. And we will catch you next week. I think we'll be back Tuesday. I don't know if
Tuesday.
yeah, it's a observed holiday. So
Cool.
We'll catch you guys Tuesday.
Awesome.
See you.
See ya.
See ya.